Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate. This is Diamond Painting and Dr. Pepper, and today it's time for a whip and chat with you guys. I am working on Rose Library today, and it's actually the first time I've worked on it in a while because for the month of June I kind of stepped out of my usual routine and prioritized my Pride kit that I was working on, which is Everyone is Welcome Here. And I got that completely done because I worked on it pretty much exclusively for the month of June. So I am just getting this one started. I am looking forward to working on this one again because I'm so close to finishing the border around the whole thing, and I'm on the part that I was really excited to get to, which is these windows. So I've been really wanting to work on it. I just haven't had the chance in a while because I really wanted to finish that Pride kit in the month of June. And I did that, so now we're back. I also recently started a new WIP, which is Stargazing by Maddie Arts. And I'm also really excited for that one because it's a new artist with Diamond Art Club, but it's someone that I have followed for a long time on social media, and I really love her artwork. And so the kit itself is like all pinks and purples and blues, so one of my favorite color palettes. So I did start that one today, and that is the one that I have been working on pretty much all day because my stepdaughter and my husband decided that they wanted to diamond paint today. And that's the second time this week this has happened. This is not my idea. They came up to me and was like, let's watch a movie and diamond paint together. And I'm not going to say no to that, you guys. So we went to the kitchen table and we turned on Jumanji and we diamond painted. And actually, my stepdaughter Raya gave me a hair wrap first because I had given her one earlier a couple days ago, and it could have been yesterday. It's been a long week, but she wanted to learn how to do it, so I tried to give her some instruction and so she could practice on me. And it's not something that is easy to really just explain with words, but there was really no one else that she could, like that we could practice on so that I could show her. I just kind of had to say, okay, you do this and you can use me as a guinea pig. And she did a great job. I love it. It turned out really cute. I picked really fun colors. If you guys don't know what a hair wrap is, it's basically exactly like what it sounds, but you take embroidery floss in whatever colors you want, and then you like braid your hair in like a small braid, like just a small piece of your hair, and then you start at the very top and like knot the strands of embroidery floss into around the braid into your hair. And then you just start wrapping your hair with the embroidery floss. And when you're done, it's this cool pattern wrapped around that strand of hair, and it stays in for, depending on how tight the wrapping was done, it stays in for a couple weeks. So it's really fun. I used to give them to my kids when they were younger, and I also, for a while there, tried to start up a hair wrapping business when I was around 18 or so. After I taught myself how to do it, I got my first one done when my dad and I went to Disney World when I was 17, and I really fell in love with them. I thought they were so cool, so I kind of taught myself how to do it and then did it for a while. There was a local drugstore that let me kind of set up in the front of the store with my little table and my embroidery floss, and I had like bead accessories people could add on if they wanted, and I would do hair wraps. I think I charged like a base price, and then if your hair was longer than a certain length, I would charge extra per inch or something. It was a long time ago. I'm trying to remember, but yeah, so I love when I get the chance to do that again because it really is fun. But yeah, so she gave me my hair wrap while we started the movie, and then when she was done, we diamond painted the night away. And I got several sections done on stargazing, but now I am working on Rose Library again, which is fun. It's always fun for me to go from a round to a square, because squares are my favorite, and so it's like so relaxing to come back to this after doing rounds for a while. Anyway, guys, let me know down below how your week went. Mine was really long, but part of that is probably because I was working while the rest of my family was off work in school. So since Raya was here visiting for the week, my husband took the whole week off, and Casey's out of school because it's summertime. He went camping, actually, with my dad. But yeah, so everybody was doing fun stuff, and I was working, which I love my job. Working is, not a problem. But it was just like, I wanted to spend time with everybody, and I had to do work instead. So it's a bit of a bummer on weeks like that, when everyone else is off doing stuff and you have to be like, I'm sorry, I can't, I'm working. But work has been really busy lately, so I didn't feel like I could take the time off because I'd get really behind if I did. I'm already behind, but I'm doing my best to stay on top of it. But yeah, Casey went camping this week with my dad and my nephew. And they went from Monday to Friday, so the whole week. Monday was my dad's birthday, and we drove Casey over to his house, and then my dad took Casey up to the campground in his RV, and I came up later with Preston, my nephew, because he had a soccer game that he had to go to about 1:30 that day, so he couldn't go up with my dad. So I waited for him, and then I drove my dad's truck up to the campsite because it was loaded with extra supplies that wouldn't fit in the RV. They took a lot of supplies. And then we unloaded the truck, and I stayed and had dinner with them and played one card game, which my dad won. And that's appropriate because it was his birthday, so I'm glad he won. But then I drove the truck back to my dad's place where I had already stashed my car, and then took my car home. And Casey and Preston and my dad camped for 5 days, and my dad brought his dog Apollo, and he had the best of times barking at anything that moved. And they saw some deer, they went hiking, but then the weather kind of turned rainy towards the end of the week, so it was less enjoyable, and they couldn't go splashing in the water like they wanted to, so that was a bummer. But at least this year, campfires weren't banned or anything. That has happened a couple times in the past where no campfires were allowed, and that kind of sucks whenever you go camping and you can't have a campfire. So they were able to, roast hot dogs and make s'mores and all that stuff using the campfire, which is, I tell you, when you're camping, food just tastes better. So anyway, I was glad they had a good time. We had a good time too. Matt, my husband, and Raya spent a lot of time doing all kinds of stuff. They're both early risers, and I'm a late riser. So they were always out doing stuff before I was even awake in the morning. But Raya likes to go running, and so sometimes Matt would take her to a local park we have where there's a lot of like hiking and running trails, and she would run all the way around. And sometimes they went for walks downtown or around the house or whatever. And they were always usually back by the time I woke up. Although one day they did go all the way to the beach, which we're in a really fun location because we're about an hour away from the beach, but we're also about an hour away from like the mountains if we want to go camping. So I really like where we live. We're also about an hour away from the big city, so pretty much anything you want to do is about an hour away. So they drove to the beach and hung out there for the day and brought me home some candy from the beach candy store. In the past, I always used to get like a huge jawbreaker that was like literally this big, like 4 inches. And apparently the person who owns the candy store can't find those anywhere anymore, which is my luck. It seems like everything I like at like to eat, always gets discontinued. And so I guess if those jawbreakers aren't being made anymore, it's just another thing added to the list of things I can't get anymore that I used to love. But in the case of that one in particular, it's probably a good thing because I shouldn't eat that much sugar. But instead they brought me like a small jawbreaker on a stick, which I gotta say was a lot easier to eat than in the past when I've had like the big jawbreakers that I have to hold with my hand. It gets a little bit difficult to hold them after a while. The plastic cover didn't completely get torn off right there, so I'm just trying to... Boop! There we go. So yeah, that was really thoughtful of them to bring me that. I'm trying to savor it and only have a little bit at a time because, yeah, of the sugar. But then they brought home saltwater taffy for them. I don't like taffy. And they had a good time finding seashells on the beach. So yeah, that was fun. And then last night on Friday, my dad brought Casey and Preston back home. And then that evening, a family member hosted a fireworks party. It's not 4th of July here yet, but every year this one neighborhood that's local to us hosts like an early fireworks show. And like it's a professional fireworks show, so really big one. And so our family member lives in that neighborhood, and they invite everybody over to like have snacks and watch the fireworks show. And that was my first time going, I think, but the show was really pretty. And we're probably not going to set off our own fireworks this year, so it might be the only fireworks I see this year, so I'm glad I got to go. We had root beer floats, and they were even thoughtful enough to get 0 sugar root beer, so I was able to have some. And we had hot dogs and watermelon, which you guys know if you've been watching my videos, I've been craving watermelon like crazy since summer started. I don't know what it is. It's like a flip switched, and I've just been dying for watermelon all the time. But yeah, it was really fun. We watched the fireworks show once it got dark, and Casey was so tired from having been camping all week that he only watched about half the fireworks show before he sneaked back inside and found a pillow and blanket and like fell asleep on the floor. So, tired boy. Camping will wear you out, that's for sure. But it was good to see, family and spend that time with them. And then today was my nephew's birthday party. So the same nephew who went camping with Casey, his birthday is this week. And he's turning 15, the same age as Casey. He's about 5 months younger. And so we all gathered for his birthday party. And the weather behaved. It was a little bit blustery, and it did turn a little bit overcast, but it was still nice and warm. And we had the party like out back at my nephew's house. It was in his backyard. And their dogs were running around greeting everybody, and that was my favorite part because I love seeing the dogs. We had these little Barks root beer brand, like kind of like push pops, but they were like root beer float push pops. So there was like root beer flavored ice cream or just frozen root beer, I'm not sure. And then vanilla ice cream swirled up together, and you just like pushed it up and ate it like a push pop. So that's cool. I'd never seen those before. And we're thinking about possibly doing like a barbecue for 4th of July coming up. So I hope we're able to do that because I love summer barbecues, and it would be another chance to hang out with the family and have good food and play games. And I love gatherings like that in the summer. It's just very nostalgic for me. So I did manage to get my WIP and chat up last week, but a lot of it was taken up by that tag that I did. And so I didn't quite get to talk about everything that happened last week. So I'll catch you up a little bit on that stuff. One of which was that Casey went to the doctor because of all his fainting issues he's been having. One of his doctors suggested a certain type of medication. So we went to his regular practitioner and asked them about it, and they prescribed that for him. So he started a new medication last week to see if that helps. And also, they referred him to cardiology to like check his heart and make sure that his heart isn't being affected, and that's why he's fainting so much. But because I thought that it was really weird and unusual for a teen kid to be passing out. Like, he's passed out, I think, 5 times in the last 2 years, which isn't, regular. But I had just never heard of that happening that much to younger people. But apparently his doctor said it happens more commonly than I thought. So maybe it's, nothing going on. Maybe it's fine. But you guys have given me some suggestions as to what might be going on. So I did talk to the doctor about those things, and that's why we're doing the referral, just to check and make sure that everything's working as it should be. Because there's no point in not at least, checking it out and making sure everything's fine. And if everything's fine, then I guess it's just normal teen stuff. I had never heard that before, but I don't know. They would know better than I would, so. But yeah, I'm glad we're still, checking into it, because that way we can make sure that we've done our due diligence and that everything is fine physically. So, I did get a call from the cardiology place so that I could schedule that appointment, and that's happening this month. And then Casey has a follow-up this week with his regular doctor to just check and see how the medication has been doing that she started him on last week. So, So they seem to be pretty on top of it, and I'm glad, you know, we might get some answers or at least find out that everything seems to be fine. That's what's going on with that. And then also that week, we had kind of just an unexpected issue where I think it was Wednesday last week. Could have been Thursday, but I think it was Wednesday last week. My husband was just gonna take a shower and I heard him turn on the water and it ran for a while and then it turned off and he came out and was like, not getting any hot water. So we went to check the hot water heater and we tried to like relight the pilot and it would like the pilot light would flicker, but it wouldn't stay on like it was supposed to. So I called the plumber, and they came out the next day because it was already late that day. They came out the next day, and my husband had done some research on what could be causing that, and he had thought it was probably the circuit board around the pilot light or whatever, the casing, or I've forgotten the terminology already, but from his research, he thought it would be about $120 to replace that part. So when the plumber came out, we told him what had been going on, and I was the only one there because my husband was at work. And I told the plumber what my husband had tried with the pilot light, and he went and tried the same thing, and he's like, yep, I think it's this, this electric board for the pilot light, like the gas intake valve. That's what he said it was, which is that same, part that my husband was looking at. And, oh, yikes, a bunch of my putty just came off. So it was the gas intake valve, which is the part that my husband had researched that would cost about $120 just for the part. I'm sure labor would add on to that. So I was expecting, a few $100 bill. But then the plumber was like, how old's your house? And I explained that it had been built in 2013, so it's 11 years old. And then he was like, oh, well, that makes it so that your water heater is at end of life, because they only apparently last between 10 and 15 years or something. And ours is obviously 11 years old. And so he said, unfortunately, due to it being at the end of its life, we can't do any repairs on it because then we can't warranty our plumbing work because your water heater is likely to die sometime soon anyway, basically. So we couldn't get it repaired. They had to replace the whole thing. So it was not a couple $100. It was $3,000. And that's after we just had to fix our AC for, I don't know, I think it was $1,500 or $1,300 or somewhere around there. And my dog is going to have surgery this next week, and that's going to be $1,600 to $1,900 if everything goes well. So stuff is just pouring right now. It's that's not a small expense, and I'm kind of bummed because there's some trips coming up that I was hoping to do, diamond painting retreats, and my friend who I went to Vegas with last year asked me if I wanted to go to Vegas again in October this year, and I was kind of thinking that would be really fun, but with all this money we've had to spend lately, I just don't think it's in the cards for any of that, which, it's sad for me, but it's also not dire. I very much appreciate the fact that we're we had enough savings to cover these expenses, even though, it kind of drained us. I'm very grateful for that. But I also can't help but feel like exasperated that this is all happening at once and all kind of without warning, and like our house just decided, oh, okay, it's time to fall apart now, So just kind of frustrating. That on top of like some friends and family members have been going through some really hard things just recently. And so it's just been an emotional couple of weeks. But hopefully it's all uphill from here, knock on wood. But yeah, part of the reason I didn't get a vlog up this week is just due to all that going on, plus Raya was visiting and work was busy, so I didn't have time to edit it like I usually would. So I decided to just combine both weeks of the vlog, and hopefully I'll be able to edit that tomorrow night so that I can have it posted on Tuesday for you guys. And hopefully there'll be enough footage, even though things have been so busy and I couldn't film a lot of what was, taking up my time. So yeah, I haven't really checked to see how much footage I have yet, but I'm excited to put the vlog out again next week, hopefully. The vlog doesn't do as well as my WIP and chat videos, but it's my favorite one to make, so I don't really care. I'll just keep making it, at least for me, And I know some of you enjoy it. Man, I can't believe it's only been like half an hour that I've been chatting to you guys, and I feel like I've gotten through pretty much everything that I was gonna say. Nothing much happens when, even when stuff is going on, I feel like, I don't know how to fill up a whole hour with stuff when I spend most of my time doing stuff I can't talk about in great detail because it's like work and stuff. So I have been really, really hungry the past couple weeks for some reason, just like extra starving, especially late at night when it's right before bed and I really shouldn't be eating. But that's when my stomach is like, no, you need food right now. And a lot of times it wants stuff like watermelon or cereal that I really shouldn't be eating right before bed. So I've been having a lot of eggs because it's got a lot of protein and they keep you full a bit longer. But it's definitely not what I've been wanting. Also, guys, I am very close to finishing Ruthless Vows. I think I'm about half an hour away from the end of the book because I'm listening to it on audiobook and at times 2 speed. So about half an hour left. And that is the second book in the Divine Rivals Ruthless Vows duology by Rebecca Ross. And I'm glad I'm almost done because it is the book of the month for the Crafters Den Discord, and the month's almost over. So I'm looking forward to finishing that so that I can join in the discussion that's happening next week about the book. I think I did too many or not enough? Something's going on here. Yeah, not enough. Okay. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that discussion. I really have enjoyed these 2 books. They're a bit different than what I usually read, and I really like the vibe of them. It's like this alternate universe, but 1940s kind of feel. And it's a really cool vibe because it's got, just that little bit of magic thrown in too. It's really fun. So I highly recommend them if you've never read those 2 books. They're very good. I've mostly been listening to that or watching YouTube, but I also did recently watch a show on Apple TV. Well, it's a movie, I guess. But it's like a short movie. It's like a half-hour long. And it was called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And it was a little animated movie. And it was really good. I don't know why, but it totally made me cry. So I recommend it if you hadn't seen it. It's got great voice acting, and it's a sweet little story. I thought it was really interesting because to me it felt kind of full of symbolism, and it seemed to me like it was symbolizing the boy's journey to like accept himself and be okay with who he is. The whole thing's about him trying to find his home, and he can't remember where it is or who he is. But his animal friends kind of help him along the way. And I think it's about kind of learning to love yourself for who you are and accepting all of your different faults. I don't know. It was really sweet. Really well animated. Very beautiful. I guess it's based on a book or like maybe a children's book. So, yeah, I liked that. And then we watched, like I said, all 3 of the Jumanji movies this week, which my husband and I had seen before several times, but my stepdaughter never had. So it was fun introducing her to those. And she's going to be leaving tomorrow. So we tried to, like always, we tried to pack in as much, quality time with her as we could before it was time for her to leave, because she lives quite far away from us, so we don't get to see her as often as we'd like, and we like to take full advantage of it when she's here and just do all the things. But yeah, guys, I think that's really all I had to catch you up on. So I am going to go ahead and do yay or nay now. Okay, so last week's question was, do you enjoy road trips, yay or nay? And as for me, it's a yay. I love road trips. Some of my best memories were from when I was a kid. My dad and I would go on lots of road trips, and that was back before like CD players. And so my dad used to record all of his vinyl records onto tapes, and more can fit on a tape than on a record. So we used to have these long tapes filled with either one artist and like different albums by that artist, or sometimes it'd be a couple of artists on one tape. And we used to take turns picking which tape we'd listen to next. And then we would, sing along to the songs, and I'd always do the harmony and he'd do the melody. And it was a good time. We went a lot of outdoorsy places. We went camping. One year we went to Yellowstone. We went to Nevada. So lots of road trips as a kid, and I still love them. Just most recently, my husband and my son and I drove from here in Oregon down to California to go to Disneyland, and that was about 15-hour drive, and we just did it straight through. We didn't stop in the middle. I think that part was a mistake, but it was still really fun. That was like a hard trip to do just in one shot like that, but I loved it. So yeah, you guys mostly agree with me. It was 7 yays and 1 nay, and a few undecided. So most of you guys like road trips. We have Gretchen Kund, I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong, said, yay to road trips, although my anxiety has shown up when in the car the last few years, so it makes it more stressful. I'm refusing to let it stop me. I've done Virginia Beach to Sacramento twice. I've done Dallas to Yuma. I've done Sacramento to Bakersfield, as well as San Diego and to Dallas. Now that we live in Newport, Oregon, we've done quite a few to Seattle, as well as to Sacramento. I'm not sure what length constitutes a road trip. I've done dozens and dozens less than 4 hours. I think any length would constitute a road trip as long as you're going somewhere you don't usually go and you're like in the car for a while. So sounds like you've done a lot. There's some good ones in there. And Newport, that's not very far from me. That's cool. Newport has a really cool wax museum, if it's still there, and a Ripley's Believe It or Not, and an aquarium. Newport's fun. Susan H. says, "Yay on road trips. I've had many fun ones, but my most memorable was in 1977 when my dad and I moved from California to Canada. My mom stayed behind to sell the house, and it was just my dad and I heading east. The funny thing was I got freckles on only one side of my face because of the direction we were going, and that I was always in the passenger seat in the sun." That's really funny. I didn't realize you could get freckles from like sun exposure, but I thought it was just a genetic thing. So I learned something new today. That sounds like a really good bonding time with your dad, though. Reminds me of like my trips with my dad growing up. Dragon Wing Diamonds says, "I'm definitely a nay on road trips. I'll take them, but I prefer to fly. I had a similar situation to your kids in that my parents also lived a long distance away. My dad moved to Connecticut. I think CT is Connecticut, right? And where I am in New York, it's a 6-hour drive. So every school vacation, I would be in the car 6 hours there and 6 back. The worst part about that was we always traveled on Christmas Day. One year there was a nasty snowstorm, and the trip took us 12 hours. It was a nightmare. Oh my gosh, I'm sad to say something similar has happened to us before on some of those road trips, getting my kids up to see their dad. And for a while there, we also traveled on Christmas Day until we realized that that was a terrible idea. And then we switched it to be the day after Christmas. So I'm sorry you had to deal with that. That sounds really tough, especially the 12-hour one. Oh my goodness. Wow. Plus those storms can be dangerous. So there goes my, anxiety again. But yeah, I would be very nervous driving through bad weather every time it would happen. And then Enia Luna says, "I'm actually not sure if it's a yay or nay for road trips. It is nice to travel by car as a driver or passenger, especially with good company and sometimes even alone. But I prefer train because there I can relax and maybe read a book or play games with my phone. Today I'm actually going to travel by train. I will visit my mom for a few days." Oh, that's nice. We don't have as good of a train infrastructure where I live, although we do actually have one that my son sometimes rides from the town where he lives to come visit me. So we do have a passenger train station here in our town, but I feel like that's not as common of a thing in the US, and it would be nice to just be able to ride a train somewhere and not have to worry about driving. So yeah, thank you guys for participating in Yay or Nay. This week's Yay or Nay question is, for those of us who are in the United States, do you have fun family traditions for the 4th of July? And if so, and you feel like sharing, let us know what you guys usually do. I used to love the 4th of July. I'm feeling a lot less patriotic nowadays than I used to, but I still love the getting together with family part and everything. So, I'll talk about our traditions next week. But yeah, if you're in the US, let me know if you celebrate 4th of July and what your family traditions are. If you're not in the US and you don't celebrate 4th of July, do you have any summertime traditions that your family likes to get together and do? Like, do you barbecue or, let me know. that said, guys, I am going to end things here. It'll be a short WIP and chat, but I'm not sure what else I can talk about because not much has happened. So I will just let you go. I hope you guys are having a great week. Thank you so much for being here, and I will DAC you in the next one. Bye, everybody.